Now, let's discuss Dub's logic about his logic starts with accolades. The only reason why he's bringing up accolades is because they don't favor his guy. Because if they favor his guy, the first thing Dub would bring up is MVPs. The first thing Dub would bring up is all league defender. The first thing Dub would bring up is finals MVPs. That's the first thing that he would bring up. That's number one. Number two, the second part of your logic is about the ABA. Okay, so at no point was Doc ever better than Jabbar. Jabbar was the best player in high school. Doc was not. Jabbar was the best player in college multiple years. Doc was not. Jabbar was the best player in the NBA multiple years. Doc was not. And the reason why I bring that up is because Doc was the ABA. Doc wasn't a good player in the ABA. He was the entire league. So at no point, if he was not better than Jabbar, that means that George Gervin, who wasn't better than Doc, he wasn't close to Jabbar. That means that Connie Hawkins, who wasn't better than George Gervin, who wasn't better than Doc, he wasn't close to Jabbar, including Artis Gilmore. He wasn't close to Jabbar. All of these guys were not close to Jabbar. Now, let's get back to the playoff logic. The playoff logic where, and I mentioned this to Lo right before you showed up, the Los Angeles Lakers, when he got on this roster in the 75-76 season, they were at the bottom of the Western Conference. They were Oklahoma City. They had the worst record in the NBA. He takes them the next year to 10 more wins. They would have made the playoffs if the rules were what they are today. The Milwaukee Bucks made the playoffs over them because they were in a different division and they finished higher. Otherwise, the Lakers had a better record than the Milwaukee Bucks and they would have made the playoffs. Now, the question to you, Dub, is why is he not the best player ever?
Who, Dub? That's a tough act to follow.
I would like to say hello, guys. How are you guys doing this evening? It's been I kind of find it funny how everyone's all up in the bunch right now. I do enjoy having the old guys be angry. It's one of my favorite parts of talking about basketball.
Who's angry?
So first of all, to address what you was talking about, the ABA and everything like that, I addressed that point when talking about the MVPs. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, LeBron James better than Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Stephen Curry in a lot of people's eyes, but those guys still won MVPs on his watch. That's why I was addressing the ABA part. It wasn't the fact that those guys were close to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was just to highlight the fact on how he benefited from not having to play with that type of competition in order for him to win an MVP. Hold on. Keep going, Dog. I said a lot. You guys said a lot.
You say something wrong, I got to correct you.
Keep going, Dog. I'm listening. Keep going, Dog.
There was a few times, but there's a few years that I worked to get for Kareem in his favor. Then another thing you addressed, if my guy had this, if my guy had this, if Mars talked to me more times than you, and he would sit here and tell you, I do not run the MVPs. I do not run the All-NBAs. I do not run to any of that. I talk about their game and how they played basketball. I don't say MVPs. I don't say chips. So that's another thing that you said that just is not even relevant to the situation which we're talking about, because that's not how I talk about. The context of saying that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar does not have a GOAT conversation is because, and Lo was saying this before, he said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a guy where in 1975, I believe, he won 38 games in the Milwaukee Bucks. Then the following year, he switches teams, and you say he had a better record? Give me a break. He had a better record by 2 fucking wins, bro. Let's be real with that. He went from 38 to 40
on the worst team in the NBA.
But
worst team in the NBA. Don't leave that part out.
Cool. But
why were they the worst team?
The point of my argument is the fact that if a guy like LeBron James, if a guy like Michael Jordan, if those guys miss the playoffs on 2 different teams, the type of scrutiny that those 2 guys would be a part of will be unheard of. Because at the end of the day, you would say this, Chilltown. You guys would say this. You're the one. You have a case to be the best player in the NBA basketball world, and you're missing the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. That's not the same level of impact that you guys talking about. Then let's clarify one more thing about the competition he was going up against. Think about it like this. Out of all the guys in the top 12, top 13 realm in the NBA community, LeBron James was battling against Kobe Bryant, Stephen Curry, Michael Jordan against Hakeem Olajuwon, and Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for the majority of his prime, and guys in that top 10 to top 12 to top 13 range, he was dominating all alone. There was nobody he was going up against. Bill Russell was challenging each other. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson challenging each other. Kobe Bryant challenging LeBron James. KD, Stephen Curry challenging LeBron James. Kareem was solo. He had Dr. J, which was great. I do think Kareem was better than him. He was dominating solo. And on top of that, last point.
Keep going, Dub.
Okay. You talk about the reason why I brought up the MVPs because of player voting. He won every year before 1980. It was 1980 before. He won all those MVPs. All of his MVPs came from player voting. All I said was, if a lot of these guys in the NBA history had the benefit of having players vote for them, they would easily have way more MVPs than they did.
So you're saying players don't know how to vote for an MVP?
That's not what.
No, he's not. That's not what he's saying. Hold on for a second. So, Dub. So let's get back. So let's get back.
He's saying Kareem benefited from player votes that players like LeBron and MJ didn't. That's what he's saying.
I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Hold on. I'm not going to bore you with stats. I'm not going to bore you with stats. But if you go back and check out Kareem's stats, he deserved every single one of those MVPs. That's not even negotiable. I don't care if it was the players, the coaches,
I'm not saying he didn't.
The media. Let me finish.
That's not what I'm saying.
I don't care if it was Martians voting. He won those MVPs. But you're saying you're not saying it, but you're saying, it's because the players voted, right?
It's
correct.
That's what I
he's saying.
What is he saying?
He's saying we are all aware. We are all aware of the phenomenon of voter fatigue, which has only been a thing since the media has really been voting. That's a thing that guys.
Also, don't forget media votes based on who they like and who talks to them. So it's not really the best who deserves it. Go ahead.
So with things like that, Michael Jordan, even Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, LeBron James, like they have to go against the fact that the media isn't going to give them as many MVPs as the players, for example.
That's correct.
They gave Kareem 6 MVPs. Not saying he didn't deserve all of the MVPs.
But when you say give, you imply that
they believe he was the MVP.
Because we're doing semantics. He earned the MVP.
Hold on, Mars, keep going. You're making a good point, Mars. Keep going.
The players believe that Kareem was the MVP 6 times. Rightfully or wrongfully, that's not the point Dub was making.
Right.
The point Dub was making, if players like LeBron also had the benefit of player voting, he would more than likely have more than 4 MVPs to his name. And when we talk about the GOAT debate, well, not we, but when a lot of people talk about the GOAT debate, with Kareem in particular, they talk about the 6 MVPs. And that is something that he had a benefit of a different voting system, which gets him more MVPs than everyone in history. And that was
that's fair, Mars. Now, with that being said, Dub, let's make sure that we're clear. You're going off the fact that Jabbar, with him winning those league MVPs and deserving those league MVPs, the years that we live now in James, that there are guys here who completely respect James. There's plenty of guys in the NBA who can't stand James, just like the media. So if you are under the impression that if James, as good as he's playing, Kevin Durant, as good as he's playing, as good as Kobe Bryant was playing, how many guys would have actually voted for him to be MVP if the players had a vote at that time? I am 100% confident.
There are studies and polls that have been done by players, and you know who would have benefited the most? It's not LeBron James, it's Kobe Bryant. Kobe would have won more, but James would not have won more. Go look at the poll.
What's the proof?
Hold up. I got them right here. I got him right here. You talking about Kobe Bryant and everything. LeBron James was dominating at a time where Kobe Bryant was absent. You guys say he wasn't respecting the league, but shit, a lot of people he went up against say he's one of the best players of all time. Draymond Green saying he's the greatest player of all time. Stephen Curry, he gets a lot of love. Let's not act like he don't. So you tell about a time in the 2010s mainly where he'll win most of his MVPs with nobody else in the league. He's definitely going to win a good handful of that. You're not going to sit here and say no. You're not going to act as if he's not respected and not loved in the league.
You always do, though. You're creating a hypothetical situation to try to prove your point.
We're all creating a hypothetical situation.
I don't know. You're taking MVPs by saying, well, if players voted, these other guys.
That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing.
No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that.
I think what we're doing is understanding.
Can I clarify what I'm doing?
I need everybody to calm down. Hold on, Dub, right quick. Hold on, Dub. Before you go, I need to hear Ticket's thoughts on the matter. Kareem being the GOAT.
Does he have a case? Let's be clear, because I don't think anyone has him as the GOAT, but does he have a case? Can a case be made?
Yeah, Mike, Kareem, Kobe, in that order.
And the reason why you feel that way, Ticket, is because
Mike, the accolades, along with 6 NBA championships, never went to a game 7, 6 finals MVPs,
accolades.
Kareem behind him because of the accolades, along with his dominance in the championships, finals MVPs, regular season MVPs.
Sure.
And then Kobe being Bryant because he didn't get enough credit for the first three-peat, but then he went to 3 more finals after that and won 2 of those. So to me, he solidified his value in the first 3 championships. And again, we got to remember that Kobe was robbed of the latter part of his career because of the injury. So we didn't really get his last 3 years he was losing, but it wasn't like he was 100% out there and getting beat at 100%. So
he wasn't the same after he tore that Achilles. He wasn't the same. He was not.
Kareem,
No, he wasn't. As good as Bryant was after he tore his Achilles, he wasn't the same. No, he wasn't.
Why he's in the conversation? Okay, here's why he's in the conversation. Because he played for 20 fucking years, 25, 11, 4, and 4. He put up the numbers. He also did it on the defensive end, leading the league in blocks, being an 11-time All-NBA or All-NBA defensive player. I want to stay away from accolades, but that alone, if you only use what you
stay away from accolades, we can't do that, man. Because what we're doing is, I hate that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I thought I was supposed to hear.
Let me talk now. So if I'm saying, because these guys don't want to use the accolades, because when you put the accolades in it, it's a no-brainer. He's in the conversation. Again, not mine, but he's in the conversation. But just statistically, what he did offensively and defensively, how he had a shot that no one can freaking stop. Like, there's so much to say why, even if you don't include championships and accolades, he's in the conversation, that once you do, because you have to include accolades, that's why they freaking exist, he's in the conversation, and anything else is ridiculous.
So can I clarify the points? And the question that was asking me before, you're saying I'm knocking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from winning MVPs. That's not what I'm doing. All I'm doing is providing the details and the context on why things happened and why he won MVPs and why he did this and why he did that. Because at the end of the day, details matter and context matters, and why people do things and why things leads to people achieving accolades, why people things lead to them being successful matters. I'm not going to sit here and say that just because this guy won 6 MVPs that he's this far above somebody else.
It's the choice.